Hello everyone, and welcome to this afternoon's webinar. Today I will be looking at getting started in Ayoa. So I'll be exploring the different features. So how to use the features in whiteboards, mind maps and task boards, and how you would create and send a task from your whiteboards or mind maps to a task board. Okay, so I'm going to get started. So the first view I'm looking at is whiteboards. We introduced this view back in November, early December. And if you've been using Ayoa for a while, but you haven't had a chance to use this yet, this is a really great flexible workspace. So if you need to maybe express ideas or collate information in a way that isn't as structured as a mind map, then this is a great space to do that. So you could use whiteboards for mood boards, inspiration boards, a way to gather information for research. And what you can also do, if I just zoom in here, you can see I've actually got links to other boards as well. So I can link to task boards and mind maps and almost use the whiteboard as a dashboard in that sense. What we also have in the whiteboard view is a flowchart builder. So if you need to build a different sort of chart, from a mind map that needs a very different structure or a very particular structure, then the flowchart builder will be perfect for you. Different ways you can use that. You could use it like this, where you can create a very traditional flowchart, or you might use it to create organizational charts, hierarchy charts, process maps, anything where a mind map isn't going to quite work. The main building blocks of a whiteboard, you've got these sticky notes, and they're colorful and eye-catching, and they're a space where you can add text, whether those are just short, quick ideas, or whether you want to add a paragraph or two. And you can then arrange those around images, around floating text. You can add attachments and lists as well. And then as your whiteboard becomes bigger, you can organize them into different sections, such as these, so that the whiteboard is easier to read and manage. If you've started off in a whiteboard and you want to export it as a mind map, or a task board instead, you've got that option up here in the board options. So in here, you can choose to export it as a mind map, as a task board, or if you want to export it as an image, you've got those options here as well. So we've updated the menus recently. So if you're wondering where your favorite features are, we've just separated things out. So in this menu here, this is your board options. So in here, you'll find your default font and your export options and the option to save it as a template. In here, you'll find your display options, such as background color, and you can show the creators here as well. And then if you're looking to collaborate with other people and control their permissions, that's now all in share. So here I can invite other people and control the permissions here. And as those features are fairly new, as I move to the different views, I'll just be giving you, a heads up where you'll find, different components now, just in case you've missed them. So to create a new whiteboard, simply navigate to the home page by clicking on home. Currently, whiteboards are available on the desktop and web app. So we've got a range of pre-made templates for you to choose from with different ideas of how you might utilize the whiteboard. I recommend giving them a go if you're not quite sure where to start. And then you can also create your own templates as well from existing boards if you find that there's a particular process that really works for you. So name your whiteboard. So March 1st. You can add a description. And here you can add people you want to collaborate with. So if you've worked with them before, just click and you'll get a drop down. And you can even start typing and it will suggest different users or different groups. If you haven't worked with anyone before, just pop their email address in here and that will send them an invitation to sign up for Ayoa, where they can sign up for a free account and then collaborate with you once they're done. In Whiteboards, you can also create a corresponding task board at exactly the same time. And I can even choose to set it up using a template just to save time. And that means that as I'm creating my whiteboard, if there are things that I need to action or send as tasks, I can do that within the whiteboard without having to navigate anywhere else. So this is my blank whiteboard. I've got infinite space to add whatever I want. And if I need to edit anyone's permissions or invite anyone new, I can do this from the share button. I can also start a chat straight from this menu as well. So if I need to have, a real-time conversation with someone, then I can do that as well. So right at the top, we've got sticky notes. So pick and choose your shape, choose your color, then choose your starting size and drag and drop it onto your canvas. Here we've got the text editor. So you can choose your different styles, different text size. It's all in here for you. If you need to change the color, click on the 3-dot menu and you can edit the style and the color here. You can add multiple sticky notes to the canvas. And if you want to save a bit of space, you can drag them on top of each other and it creates a collection of sticky notes that you can open and view at any time by clicking on it. Next, we've got the list. So just pick and choose the color and shade, drag it onto the menu, name your list, and then at the bottom you can start adding items. So you can keep it small and just scroll up and down, or you can increase the size so you can view it all in one place. So you might use the list as maybe a to-do list or a list of resources, list of ideas, whatever you want. Next, we have images. So you can add emojis, just type and search for the emojis that you want. Then you can either upload an image from your device, or if you type in the search bar, you'll search a royalty-free website. And that will bring up a range of different suggestions that you can just drag and drop onto the canvas. You can add a caption if you want. And just drag and drop it anywhere onto the canvas. Next, we have text. So if you want to add some text to the whiteboard, but not have it on a sticky note, then you can enter this here instead. So this will work well if you want to maybe layer the text over other things, or if you want to use it as a title. Next, we've got the board shortcuts. So this works really well if you're creating a whiteboard and maybe you want to reference something else that you're working on, whether that's a mind map or a task board, or you could even, set up your whiteboard as maybe a dashboard for a variety of different projects that you're working on. So this lists every single board that you have access to. So just pick and choose the board and drag and drop it onto the whiteboard. And then once it's added to the whiteboard, you'll be able to click to open it. And if you want to show more of the board, you can just drag and open it this way, and it gives a little preview. So next we've got attachments. Attachments are a premium feature. So if you've only got free at the moment, you won't be able to use this feature. At the top, you can upload a attachment from your device. So if you've got Pro, the device will need to be under 20 megabytes. If you've got Ultimate, it will need to be under 60 megabytes. You can also utilize Dropbox and Google Drive if that's how you want to work. And you can add links as well. And that will create a preview that you can drag and open. If you enter YouTube links, then you'll be able to see the play button and you'll be able to play them within here. I don't think I've got an example, but yeah, if this was a YouTube video, you'd be able to play it. Next, we've got the Flowchart Builder. So just click New Flowchart. On the side, you've got a huge list of different icons that you can use to build your flowchart. Just click and drag them on, rearrange them. I'm about to make a fantastically rubbish flowchart, but just to give you an idea of how you piece everything together. So flow over the icon that you want to connect and drag it to the next icon, and it creates a path. And you can see already I'm beginning to build my flowchart. There's loads of different icons in here for you to use, but if there's anything extra you need, you can copy and paste images in as long as they're not too big. In format, you can change the style and the look. Of the flowchart. So you can see now this looks really hand-drawn. And then when you're done, click Save and Exit. And just make sure that you've dragged and dropped your flowchart onto your whiteboard before you close or exit it. Until it's on the whiteboard, it's not saved. So don't worry if you've only just got it started. Once you've added it to the flowchart, you can open it and continue to edit and work on it at any time. So next, we've got the draw tool. So this can be as simple as just using it like a pen, just adding a little shape, click done when you're ready. Or you can use it for arrows. So that's great if you want to set up a whiteboard, like a dashboard, and explain, the different processes you need to follow. You can make that bigger and smaller, play about with the color, and click done when you're ready. Or if you simply want to, decorate the space, you can add images, these different shapes. Draw it on and click done. Then finally down here, we've got sections. So pick and choose the style and the color, then drag and drop it on. So just drag and drop anything you want to add to the section. Increase and decrease that. And if you want to add a background image to the section, click on the 3-dot image and click Set Image. I'm just going to search for a royalty-free image to save time. There we go. So you can see how quick and easy it is to just make it a little bit more interesting. And then before you know it, you've got a whiteboard more like this, where you're able to organize your ideas into different sections, communicate your thought process, and link to other boards that you're working on. So once you've built up your whiteboard, you'll be able to export it, collaborate with other people. The possibilities are endless. So next, we're going to have a look at mind maps. So this might be something you're more familiar with if you've come to these webinars before, or maybe you've used the free version. So this is a mind map I've made earlier. Basic idea of mind maps is it's a great way to break down information into really simplistic forms that will help you generate new ideas or problem solve. So right at the center, we've got our central idea. So this could be a question that you have, a problem you're trying to solve, a project that you're working on, maybe even the name of an essay. You then break down that initial central idea into its simplest components, which would be your main parent branches. And from there, you can start drilling down into different ideas, into different solutions. So the mind map style we're in at the moment is called speed maps. So this is, like the name implies, all about speed, just getting your ideas down as fast as possible without having to worry about the layout, as it's all done automatically for you. If you want to switch to different views, click up here. And next to board type, you've got your drop-down menu. So I'm going to switch to organic. So the organic mind map style might be a bit more familiar to those of you who've maybe done hand-drawn mind maps before. Perhaps you've read about Mr. Tony Bazan, and that's where you found out about mind mapping. And these branches are much more flexible. The images can be moved about more freely, and the branches can be manipulated. Which will allow for more creativity. And finally, we've got the Radial Map. So this is a very different view compared to those ones. So this is less of a traditional mind map. It's more visually closer to maybe like a sunburst diagram. You've still got your central idea, and you've still got your initial branches here that then stem out to drilling down to more particular ideas. But here you can increase and decrease the segments, which can be used to communicate importance or difficulty. And it's much easier to drill down to certain ideas. So for example, if I just wanted to purely focus on events, I can click on this little icon here. You can see my cursor. And that makes that icon then the central idea. It hides everything else, and I can just focus on ideas for this website. And you can switch between these views at any time. So to create a new mind map, let's go back to the home page. You can start off in any of the 3 styles, but you can switch between them at any point. We've got a couple of different templates that you can choose from if you're not quite sure how to get started. And yeah, pick your idea, name your mind map. Then you can invite people to collaborate. So because Ayoa is cloud-based, anyone you invite, you'll be able to collaborate with them in real time. So anything they add to the mind map, you'll be able to see, and anything you add to the mind map, they'll be able to see straight away as well. So first, pick and choose your central idea. So your central idea should be eye-catching, colorful. You can choose a pre-made sticker that we've made, or if you want to, create your own, pick a shape, pick a color. And if you want to add an image, you can do that as well, either one of your own, or click search to search for a royalty-free website. And click create central idea. So if I double click on the text, I can change and edit the text, correct it if I want. There we go. So to add a branch, I can click on the plus green icon and drag and drop to create a new branch. I can also use shortcuts. So if I click tab, it adds a child branch. So but what I mean by that, it's just a branch that comes after another one. And if I click enter, then I create a sibling branch. So that's a branch on the same level. So combining speed maps with speed keys will make it much faster for you to add your ideas. So to customize the look of my branch, if I click on this paintbrush, opens up the style tab. I can change the box to something else. I can change the box color. I can change the branch shape. I can change the branch color. Change how big, small it is. And then if I'm happy with that and I want all the branches following it to have the same style, just click apply style to children and it updates the branches that come after it. So to add an image to a branch, click on the paintbrush icon, click add. I'm going to search for another image again. So in a box branch, the image will automatically align to the left, but next to image align, I can choose to change this. So I can make this a cover image. I can then play around with the shape to show more of it. And I can hide the text if I want as well. So that's how you'd add an image. If I switch to the organic map style, you can see now the image can be moved around freely. And when I go to create a branch, I've either got this green arrow, which creates just a regular organic branch, or if I click the blue one, that creates a box. If I want to change one of these branches into a box branch, just need to open the style tab and I can choose any of the boxes. And if I want to remove the box style, I just click no box. In the organic view, as the mind map gets bigger, I may want to just have a quick cleanup. So I can click cleanup and that will respace the branches more evenly. So if you ever feel like your mind map is maybe getting out of control, then go up to this menu and that's where you'll find cleanup. So moving back to a larger mind map that we've created earlier. Because Ayoa is cloud-based, there are additional benefits than simply just drawing branches. So you can see this menu here. If I just open that up, I've got a few different other tabs as well. So I can add notes. This will allow me to add extra context to my branch. Generally speaking, you should try and stick to 1 word per branch on a mind map. Those are the rules and what you're really supposed to do to mind map effectively. However, I know that's not always easy to do. But if you're getting to over 3 or 4 words, I would suggest moving anything else into the notes. That way you don't forget it, but your mind map will still continue to be easy to read. As well as being useful for adding that extra information, notes will also be included in any exports you do to Word. So notes can be really useful for outlining different essays or reports. Next, we've got comments. So this allows you to tag the different people you have in your mind map and send them a notification. So you could use the comments to either ask for feedback or give feedback on different branches. The comments aren't included in the Word export. So it's a great way to give feedback without affecting the end result. Next, we've got attachments. So you can choose to attach a document from your device, and whether that's an Excel file, an image, anything like that. Because Ayoa is cloud-based, whatever other platform you access it on, so whether that is Android or iPhone or maybe a different computer, you're still going to be able to access that document. And just like on Whiteboards, you can also use Dropbox and Google Drive, or add your own link. And you can see that as I've been adding these extra components, we get these little icons down here. So I can see at a glance, where there's been a discussion, where there are extra notes, and where I've added an attachment. Then in the More tab, you've got your copy and cut, and also an option to delete. If you want to export your mind map, then pop to the board options, and you see it's the second option down, export. So you can export your document as PDF. So if you're looking to print your mind map, then the PDF would probably be the best option for you. The export options are part of the Pro and Ultimate, so they're not available in the free version. Exporting it as a Word document will export it as an outline. That's one example for you. And if you export it as an image, that exports it as either as a PNG or JPEG. So if you wanted to add an image of your mind map to maybe an existing document that you have, the PNG or JPEG export will probably be the best one for you. Just see if I get an example out for you. So I've done other webinars where I focus more on mind mapping. I go in a bit more detail about this view and how it can be used. So if you want to find out more about mind mapping in Ayoa, then I recommend you check out one of those. So this is just an example of that export, and you can see that the notes are included as well. So it's perfect for writing essays and reports if you find that quite difficult. Okay, so next I will be moving on to creating task boards. I will be coming back briefly to whiteboards and mind maps just to show you how you create a task in whiteboards and mind maps. So this is a task board I created earlier. This is currently in the workflow view. So you can see that the tasks are organized into columns. So each of these columns are known as categories, and they're just a way of organizing your tasks. So rather than just having a never-ending to-do list, you can organize them in a way that makes sense for you, and you can name these categories whatever you want. So, I've built this on more of a Kanban style. So my first category is where I add any new or backlog tasks. Then in the to-do list, you can start thinking about how you're going to assign them to other people. In progress, you can see the tasks that have been started by other people. And then later on in the process, this is where you'd see tasks that need to be signed off and tasks that need to be completed. So we've got a few different ways of viewing your task board. So to change, go to here and change the display type. This is workflow, but if I click on canvas, then this will change the task board style to a much more visual and colorful style. So all the information is exactly the same. I've still got all my categories and all my tasks. All of that's exactly the same. If I open up a task, all of this information is exactly the same. But if you really hate lists, if you don't like the white space, then this may work much better for you. It's also good for getting, a bird's eye view, of your project to get a better idea of, how much needs to be done, where your priorities lie, and who's working on what. And then the Gantt timeline view. So this is available in Pro and Ultimate. This allows you to see your tasks along a timeline. So, you've got a much more visual representation of, where your tasks overlap, when one starts, when one ends, when you're going to have free time. It will just make it a lot easier to schedule your project. And the thing about these views is that everyone can view the board in the way that suits them. So I can just show you, we've got 5 different people on this task board. If Jess prefers to view this task board in the workflow view, she can do that, while Dora might prefer to work with dates. So at the same time, she'd be viewing it in Gantt timeline. And there's nothing to stop them from doing that. So to create a new task board, just navigate back to the home page and click Create Task Board. So this should be becoming quite familiar to you now. Up here, we've got the different styles to choose from. Just like in my maps, as I've showed you, it doesn't matter what style you start in because you can switch between them at any point. We've got different templates for you to choose from. So if you're interested in using the Kanban, or maybe you want to work from a monthly planner, we've got these templates here, and I recommend giving them a go if you're really not quite sure where to start. So I'm going to start off in the workflow view. I can invite people to collaborate straight away. And click Create Task Board. So the first thing I'm going to want to do is just organize my categories, have a think about how I'm going to organize it. Just to reiterate, you can name your categories whatever you want. I'm going to be using a very basic Kanban inspired way of organizing my categories, but you can name them whatever you want. If you prefer to organize by maybe department, or you like to break down your projects into different sections, then by all means, name your categories that, please don't feel limited by the way that I'm naming my categories. So to create a category on Workflow View, either click the plus icon here or just drag the category down. You can see very quickly, I've set up my task board into these main different categories. Then if I want to create a subcategory, I can just drag and drop a category here. So for example, review live. So once I know how I'm setting up my task board, I can think about adding tasks. So I'm just going to double click in whatever category I want to add the task to. So you can see at the moment, this is set to automatically not assign anyone. If you're working on your own or you're on a task board where you're on your own, you can click assign me to task by default, and that will save you a little bit of time. So now I can think about what information do I need to add to this task? Who am I going to assign it to? When does it need to start? When does it need to end? So I can make this task a little bit more interesting if I want. If I click add, I can search for an image, and you can use this purely for decorative reasons. Or you might use it to color code. Let's say if you're using a block color, you could use that block color to color code your different tasks. So in fact, let's do that right now. So there we go. We're just going to choose a block color. Then under status, we can communicate whether this is in progress or in hold, or later on, we can mark it as completed. So I'm just going to put it in progress for now. And that allows me to use the progress bar so I can communicate how far along this is. Underneath here, we've got urgency importance. So you don't have to use this. I would use these for tasks that really need your attention. So you can mark something as super urgent, super important. Down here, we've got start dates. So you don't have to use both start dates and due dates. However, if you're planning on utilizing the Gantt timeline, I would suggest using them, as the Gantt timeline will be much clearer. You can also pick and choose the actual time it starts as well. And if this is a reoccurring task that you need to repeat, you can set it to repeat. And that way, when it's completed, it will create a brand new task in its place with all the same details. At the moment, I haven't got anyone assigned. If I click here, I'll see a drop down of everyone that's been added to this task board, and I can assign them. And I can assign as many people as I want. So if I need more than one person on here, or maybe I've got one person actually completing the task, one person supervising, I can add them on here. Here we've got reminders. So if this is a particularly long task, you might want to add reminders to check in on progress so that you know how it's going. And you can set up as many reminders as you want. And down here, we've got tags. So if you've got multiple departments working in one task board, you may want to add tags, so that you can easily see which tasks are for what department. And in combination with the filter down here, it will make it much easier for people to find tasks that are relevant to them. So these first three tabs we've seen in the My Map view. So you can add notes to add that extra information. You can use comments to communicate with your team. It's also a great way of documenting progress. So you might want to, give updates to your team here. And because they're time-stamped, you'll be able to have a record then of what communication has been had, who's messaged what, who's said what, and you can raise any urgent issues with your team. Here you've got attachments. So this isn't in the mind map view, this is lists, and it allows you to create a checklist. You can see as I've added the checklist, that's now visible on the task as well, so 0 out of 0. And as I add them, that updates the task as well. So if I've realized that actually this task is way more complicated than I anticipated, I need to break this down into separate tasks. If I go into more and click convert to category, it will turn this task into a category and all the checklist items into individual tasks. So the individual task then will have the same due date, the same assignees, the same urgency as the previous task. Then once I'm happy that a task is completed, then I can click completed. And as you can see, today I've reached 250 tasks. So I've just got a little congratulations here. If you don't want that to show again, you can click don't show again here, but it can be a useful motivator. So at the moment, I've got my task to stay on the canvas for up to 7 days, and you can choose your preferences in your app settings here and choose if you never want to show them or if you want to keep them on there for up to 7 days. After 7 days, you'll be able to view them in the completed view. So they'll always be accessible here. There's no time limit for how long they're kept in completed view. And if you've realized that you've completed something too soon or incorrectly, just change it to in progress. And it will add it back to the canvas. So that's one way of adding tasks, but you can also add tasks from your whiteboards and your mind map as well. So within this whiteboard, if there are sticky notes that I know need to be actioned, I can turn them into tasks using the taskbar. So if you're seeing this for the first time and you haven't created a taskboard along with a whiteboard, you'll see this first. So click Attach Taskboard, and it will give you a list of your most recent taskboards. So I'm going to use the one that we literally just created. And you can see down here, I've got those same categories that are visible in here. If I click Inbox, you can see all those tasks that we've just created. So if I want to turn one of these sticky notes into a task, I click on this icon here. So I'm just going to zoom in. So it's this icon. If I click on it, it gives me the same categories that I've got down here. So I just click on the category and it adds a task into that category. So I can open this and I can make edits without even leaving the whiteboard. So if I'm having a team meeting with someone where we're exploring different ideas, it means rather than jumping back and forth between different boards, we can stay on this whiteboard and start assigning people now. It means you don't have to worry about writing up minutes later or trying to remember who was going to do what. You can assign them right here and now. And then you've got exactly the same option in My Maps as well. So right at the bottom, we've got the taskbar. So I'm just going to close this one that I've opened earlier. And I'm actually going to open exactly the same task board. So in here, you can see the task I've added from the whiteboard. In here, you can see the tasks that I've added previously. And to add the tasks in the mind map, it's exactly the same process. So this little icon here, you can see the drop down. So I'm just going to click on doing. And I've already created a task. I can start assigning people. I start setting due dates. If I move back to that task board, you can see automatically that's all been added for me. So you can see it's really easy to go from something really creative like a whiteboard or a mind map and still get things done and things delegated to other people. So I've covered quite a lot of features. We have got other webinars available on our YouTube channel, which goes into far more detail. So what I'm going to do now is ask you guys if you have any questions about any of the views that I've just showed you. So I'm just going to have a look at the Q&A now. Okay, so the first question I have is, does it give me a notification if someone sends me a comment? Yes, it does. So if you look at the comments up, the notifications here, this is where you'd receive the comments. And you can control what you get emailed about by going to your settings, then going to your account settings. So if you click on notifications and emails, here you can control exactly what you get email about. So, I'm using Ayoa all the time, so I tend to have this turned off. But if you want to have an email, each time someone sends you notification, you can do that. Or if you don't want too many distractions, you can change it to daily, and you can get one email per day about what you need to do. So just to reiterate, if you need to change those settings and how you get notified, go to the menu, then go to your account settings. The links on YouTube for more explanation. Oh, right, links on YouTube. So if you go to our YouTube channel, you'll see it there. Just give me a moment. I will get that link for you now and make that available for everyone. Go. So I've just sent a link in the Q&A, which gives a link to our YouTube channel playlist with all the different webinars we've done. So we've covered a lot of things like radial view, task boards in more detail, mind maps in more detail, because there are so many different features within Ayoa. And we need to try and keep this under an hour. But if there's anything that you were really looking for today that you would like me to show you, just let me know on the Q&A and I'd be happy to answer your question. So please let me know if there is anything else that you would like to see today that you haven't seen yet. So for extra support and learning more about Ayoa, we've got a huge range of support guides. They're available on support.ayoa.com. In the Q&A, I've just sent a link to the playlist for our previous webinars, but you can also search it by searching Ayoa YouTube. And then if you've got any additional questions that you can't find the answer to, just pop us over an email at support.ayoa.com. We run our webinars on a weekly basis. So next week, I believe it's all about planning. Even if you can't attend at that date and time, by signing up, you'll get a recording the next day. So it's really worth signing up just so you can have access to those resources. Okay, so it doesn't look like there are any more questions. So thank you very much for joining me today. I hope you found this useful. Hang on. For the next session, if you just go to our website, so the same place where you signed up for this webinar, it will be on exactly the same page, and you can sign up for it there. So any of our new webinars will always be on that page, and you can sign up there. Brilliant. Okay, well, thank you ever so much for joining me this afternoon. I hope you found it useful. And if there are any questions that you realize you've forgotten to ask, just pop us an email at support@ayoa.com and we'd be happy to help. Thank you very much. Enjoy the rest of your day.